Hello, everyone. Amy here from the Wakelet team, and I am super excited to see you all and introduce the final keynote session of the week, final and fantastic keynote session of the week. So super excited to introduce Desiree in just a moment. But just before, we've loved seeing all of your comments, all of your shares, your screenshots, your selfies throughout the week. So please keep that up. We'd love to see it. And of course, remember there's that competition going on. So for you to win some fantastic prizes that we have, make sure you tag Wakelet on Twitter and hashtag Wakelet Community Week. So if it's from this session or any of the other sessions you've been to, please just mention that in Twitter and you'll be in for winning some great prizes. But so wonderful to see so many of you here. We've got people from all over. We've got Robin from Virginia there, Wendy from Florida, hello, Tennessee, Poland. It's so wonderful to have so many of you on from all across. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Dr. Desiree Alexander, who will be brilliantly presenting a fantastic session on how to break through barriers to achieve your goals. Hi, Desiree, how are you?
Hi, I am good. I'm so happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you. But yes, I'm going to leave you to it, and the stage is yours. Have fun.
All right, thank you so much. And it is morning where I am, so it is bright and early, and the sun is out. So we're going to have a really good time talking about how to break through barriers to achieve your goals. So let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully you're pumped like I am. And if you're not, hopefully by the end, you're pumped like I am. So who am I? I am Dr. Desiree Alexander, and I taught middle school, high school. I was a librarian for middle school and high school. I was an instructional technology supervisor. But all of that started when I was born an army brat in Belgium. So when I was born to a army father and a wonderful, wonderful mother. And I was born with a cleft palate and a cleft lip. So what a cleft palate and a cleft lip, if you've ever heard of Operation Smile, that's what they do. That's who they help. So a cleft lip is when your lip is completely open. You don't have that skin that closes it. And a cleft palate is when the top of your mouth, you probably didn't need to see my mouth, but the top of my mouth was open. So, went through surgeries even up to like 6th grade, still going through surgeries and things like that. But when I was born, the doctor told my mom to expect some things. He said she may have some speech issues just because of the physicality of it, right? And he was right. I went through speech all throughout elementary school. I still have the little twang in my voice. I know myself. So he was right on that. He also told her that I would have teeth problems. And oh my gosh, you know how models take out insurance policies for their legs? That's what I should have for my mouth. Like if somebody punches me, I'll just be like, in the eye, not leave the teeth alone. Okay, so yes, my teeth used to look at each other. I definitely had dental issues. But he also said I would probably be teased or bullied, which I was, but because I had that strong base around me, it didn't affect me as much. And because of the lessons that my mom and my dad taught me, it didn't affect me as much. So, but I was, right? So he was right on that. But grew up, kept doing my thing as a child, grew up just fine with a very, very strong family base. But one of the things when my mom tells me this story, that she calls it, the birth story. One of the things that the doctor told her, and she says, I'm so happy I didn't listen, is not to expect much from me. I'm gonna say that again. Not to expect much from me. So when the doctor told that to my mom, he gave her a mental mat. Not so much me, because I didn't know, right, what was going on. But we're going to talk about how mental mats affect us throughout life and is one of the major barriers to us achieving our goals. So before we get into what is a mental mat and how can we break through that barrier, let's look at this.
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's not enough left to do, is it?
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
So I love that video because even though we don't want to admit it, that is sometimes us, right? We get into situations that we can quite perfectly get ourselves out of, but we sit and we wait and we yell and we complain that someone needs to come and change the situation for us, right? But we can get out of it ourselves. We just have to self-analyze and see what do we need to do to solve the situation. And that is where mental mats come into play. So if you think about what does a mat do? Like when we're just thinking about a regular old yoga mat, for example, what does it do? It provides a barrier, a thin barrier, but it provides a barrier between us and reality, right? Between us and the cold floor. So it provides that nice layer of protection, of comfort, and it also keeps us in place. So we can't go slipping and sliding all over the place. That's exactly what a mental mat does for us. It keeps us in place and it keeps us a little bit from reality. Those mental mats are very, very comfortable, right? We find our space and we want to stay there because it brings us comfort. Even if we don't like the space we're in, you know, the phrase, the devil, you know, right? Well, at least I know this kind of crazy. And that's what mental mats do. They just kind of keep us there and they make us feel comfortable. What they're actually doing is keeping us imprisoned. What they're actually doing is stopping us from moving forward. What they're actually doing is almost causing an addiction. Some of us are addicted to our mental mats, and we don't quite realize it until you realize it. We're addicted to that comfort and staying in place. So what I want to talk about today are what are the things that are your mental mats? Are they other people? Is it a situation? Or is it the time-old, tried and true fear? Start questioning yourself throughout this. If you want to share and purge, put it in the chat. So my mental mat, because I can't just tell you stuff and not tell you about myself, right? My mental mat, I think, is a little weird, but I have met people that have this same barrier, and that is I have a fear of finishing. So not of starting. I'm okay with starting 1,000 projects. I'm kind of okay with change. I guess I have to be. I move around a whole bunch, that military life. I'm okay with change, but I'm not okay with finishing. And I didn't quite understand that until I started having bigger and bigger events in my life and bigger projects in my life. And I started realizing I would almost get depressed when I started to finish, even if it was a happy time, right? I would be sad. And I was like, what is wrong with me? And I started realizing one of my barriers and one of my fears is to finish, because then what? You have to answer that question, what's next? You have to answer that question, well, what's going to fill this void? And another question you have to answer is, was this successful? Right? When you're doing it, you can be hopeful, everything is good. But once you're finished, then you know, was it successful or not? So I had this big mental barrier that, I would put off stuff for weeks and for months, and people go, aren't you like one step towards finishing? Oh, but I just got so busy. And I started realizing, you know what? That is a mental mat. It's stopping you from proceeding. So I want to talk about 3 ways that we can break these barriers. 3 ways that we can start getting off of our mental mats. And that is, the first way is to be you, to do you, and to activate you. And I know activate you sounds like the Terminator, and that's good. That's exactly what I want it to sound like, because what I want to happen is throughout this short time together, I want you to start thinking about, well, what are my mental mats and how can I break them? Because this is a very personal thing. It's going to be different for each and every person. So I want you to be activated when you leave here. I want you to be on fire to start breaking down some of those mental mats. Be you. One of the most detrimental things we do to ourselves, and it's just a humanity trait, but it's one of the worst things that we do, is comparing ourselves to others. And I want you to really think about it. When you compare yourself to another person, it never ends well. It either ends with you having a heightened sense of yourself, you getting a big head, you getting an ego, right? Or it ends with you feeling bad and you feeling down on yourself. And why don't I have what they have? It never ends well, but we constantly and consistently do it. So we have to stop comparing ourselves to others simply because we don't truly know their story. We think we do. We project all of our stuff on them, and then we bring them on the scale when we don't truly know what that person's story was and how they went through what they went through to get where they are. We don't know. We don't want to know. We just want to compare because it makes us feel comfortable. It puts us on that mental mat, right? So a couple of other things with comparing. I know I've had this day, and many teachers that I know have had this day, where you go in your classroom and you teach a couple of classes and you have your nice little teacher bag there, right? And you pick up your teacher bag and you start putting your stuff in your teacher bag, and you pick up your key and you go, this whole place can burn down, right? Because you're not done for the day. It's the middle of the day, but you're that done. You're like, you know what? I bought all these posters. Y'all can have them. Give them to the next teacher. I'm done. We've all had that I'm done day, right? And then you go to your door and you open it because you're about to leave. You're just about to get in your car. You're not even going to turn in the key. Like, I'll mail you the key when you mail me my check. I'm done, right? So you go to your door and you see Miss Smith walking down the hallway, and she has her kiddos behind her. And she's like, come on, kids. And the kids are like, we love you, Miss Smith. And you're like, that's why I'm leaving right there, because of people like her. Right? And you start instantly comparing yourself to Miss Smith. But what you don't know is Miss Smith had a breakdown 2 days ago. She took yesterday off. And that's why she's singing down the hallway, because she got herself together. But you don't know that because you don't know Miss Smith's story. You're just taking surface level and you're comparing yourself to her and making yourself feel even worse. One of the big culprits to that is social media. Stop believing the lies on social media. Okay, just stop it. Most of that is a lie, right? We make ourselves look better and sound better on social, but then we eat that. Stop it. Just stop it. One last thing with comparing yourselves to others. When I started to analyze myself, and I mean, we all do it, right? It's like nobody's above it, but we can start recognizing it and stopping it once we see it happening. But one of the things I started realizing was what you envy is your passion. I'm going to say that again. What you envy is your passion. What I mean by that is I don't have children. I've never wanted children. I don't want children. I love them. They're cute. I have nieces and nephews and godchildren. I have a whole bunch of students. I'm good. So when I'm on Facebook and Insta and, Snapchat and Twitter, and I see these beautiful families and they're at the beach and, 2.5 kids, I'm like, yay, you go. But I have no envy for that, right? I don't feel any jealousy about that because it's not something I want. But you have someone post, I'm presenting at, I'm like, what? I didn't see that, right? Then I immediately start comparing. Like, well, why didn't I get, I didn't see that. Why didn't I get that invitation? I don't understand. Why is she getting that? She doesn't even know how to present, right? And I start getting that envy and I start turning into a not nice person and a not good person. And all it's doing is tearing myself down. But what I started to realize is, you know what? When you get that envy, that's telling you what you're passionate about. So instead of honing in on the envy, honing in on the passion, because that's something you may want to go try and get yourself. Next, follow your own path. And I know that sounds so like, meta and so like, yay, and, mindfulness, which I do believe in. But follow your own path. And this is what I mean by that. Not just people telling you what your journey should be. And a lot of us do have that, right? We have that pressure of people saying, well, you should be this, and kind of putting you in a box where you don't feel free to follow your own journey. But there's another part of that people don't realize. And when I hear it, I go, let's unpack what you just said. And that is, and I know you've heard this before, and you may have said it before, I've said it before, that is when they doubt me, it fuels me. Right? When they say I can't do it, that fuels me to do it. And it sounds really good. It sounds like, yeah, you go. Like when they say you can't do it, that makes me do it more. But think about what you're saying. You're saying that their hatred, their doubt, their whatever is your motivation. So they're still leading you down a path. And when I talk to people about that, I go, well, what's going to happen when they're not there? What's going to happen when that hate and that doubt and they move on to somebody else? What's going to motivate you then? What's going to be that fuel and that passion then? I have a friend, Sarah, who is a medical doctor. She's really good at what she does, and she's absolutely miserable. Absolutely miserable. Because that wasn't what she really wanted to do. But there are so many people in her life, teachers, community people. You can't really do that, sweetheart. Oh, no, maybe you want to go into this field. That it just fueled her to keep going until her path was about everybody else and not about herself. So we need to watch that. We need to watch the outside influences that make us go down paths that don't make us happy. And this could be little stuff or big stuff, like your whole field that you're in, right? I also want us to start analyzing ourselves. We can't be us if we don't know us, right? We can just say, oh, be you, do you. If you don't know yourself, how can you be yourself? So I want you to start self-analyzing. And one of the things I want you to start doing is when you get into spaces where you don't feel comfortable, when you get into spaces where you don't use your voice, I want you to stop and start asking yourself, why? This is a bit like I'm getting chills. This is a big one, y'all. Because we go into spaces where we don't feel ourselves or we don't feel comfortable for a variety of reasons. But what I want you to start doing is asking yourself why, and start self-analyzing. Okay, how did I feel in that space? Why didn't I speak up? I had a great idea, but I kept it to myself. Why? Because guess what? all those little nuggets build up and they weave together to become a mental map. We think it's just small stuff, but they all work together over years and years. And then we suddenly find ourselves sitting on a map that we didn't even know existed. So start asking yourself, why am I not who I'm supposed to be in different situations? And start analyzing yourself throughout. And last but not least, I want you to stop being so hard on yourself. Okay. One of the things I like to tell people just randomly, like I'll just randomly text my friends and go, you're more awesome than you think you are. Like, please understand how awesome you are. And I want to tell each and every one of you with me today or watching the recording, you are more awesome than you think you are. You are a rock star and you need to stop being so hard on my friend. Okay. It's much easier to support other people than to support ourselves many, many, many times. So I want you to think about yourself as your friend. Stop being so hard on my friend. Okay. Don't make me come get you. All right. Do you? So one of the things, and that do you, I feel like do you may be a little bit harder than being you, even though be you gets to some deep places. But the first thing for doing you, right, actions, is watch the people that you keep around you. And when somebody's like, oh, she about to go there. Yes, I am. Watch the people that you keep in your company. Not everyone is for you. And that's just the truth. Everyone that smiles in your face is not genuine. One of the things I had to learn, I was working in a situation that it wasn't a good situation, but I didn't know that yet. And I'll never forget, I got an accomplishment. And I was just so overjoyed that I got this accomplishment. And it wasn't something like, to write in the newspaper, but it was a happy thing for me. And so I shared it with some of my coworkers, like, oh my goodness, yay. And by the end of the day, I just felt down. And I couldn't really pinpoint why. It's like, this is still awesome. Like, why do I kind of feel almost like a little undercurrent of defeated? And what I started to realize when I started self-analyzing and I really started taking this stuff to heart is that their little comments and their little microaggressions and their little stuff that they were doing just started building up that mental map for me, where I almost wanted to sit on the mental map and just fold it over and just be there, right? And I started to realize I have to start analyzing who I share my celebrations with. And it's such a small thing, but not everybody is going to celebrate with you. So start looking at who am I sharing my celebrations with, who builds me up, and who starts just ticking away, right? Just the small ticks. So start looking at that kind of stuff because you'll start seeing, okay, well, this person is in my life for this reason. They're not in my life for my whole life. They're in my life to be in this place because I can't share my celebrations with her, but I can share it with him. And I know that he's going to truly be happy for me and won't start comparing himself to me, right? So start watching the company you keep. Who's going to build you up? Who's going to fill your cup versus just drinking all your water and you just dry by the end of the day. Next, I want you to start finding your own passion. Because all of our passions are going to be different. And I don't care if we love ed tech, if we love education, if we love just technology, all of our passions are going to be different. So when I say find your own passion, I want you to ask yourself this question. If you won $1 million tomorrow, and of course, don't celebrate that with everybody, but if you won $1 million tomorrow, what would you still continue to do? That's your true passion. And I always say this, and I have some teachers kind of put down their head. I'm like, it's okay if it's not education. Because I want you to be honest with yourself. So if you won $1 million tomorrow, what would you continue to do? That is your passion. Because that is something that you want to do, not that you need to do, right? So I can tell you, if I won $1 million tomorrow, I would still present. I would still manage Educator Alexander because it's my passion. It's what I truly love to do. So I would still do it. So start finding your passion and going towards it. Doing more of it. Next, helping other people. So one of the things with doing you, right, is that you do want to start concentrating on yourself a little bit more. Now, when I say that, some people find that to be really selfish. Like you really shouldn't concentrate on yourself at all. When we talk about things like self-care, they feel like that's just, first of all, some people think it's like hooey, and then other people feel like it's just a very selfish mindset. But I want you to think that you cannot help others if you're not helping yourself, right? You have to be okay before you can try to make other people okay. But I'm also seeing the other side where people will say, I'm tired of building up other people. I need to just I just need to do just stuff that helps me. And while, that swing may be okay for a little bit, you'll start finding that when you help others, you're actually helping yourself. When you help others achieve, when you help others feel comfortable, when you help others find their mental max, you start to build up yourself as well. I don't know how many people I have helped and actually learned from them in the process. So you have to continue to help others when you're helping yourself. And one of the things in education, one of my little mottos that I say all the time is education would be so on point if we would take the ego out of education. Please take the ego out of education. Education is not about you and how you feel and what you want and what role you want and all of this kind of stuff. Education is about others. That is what education is about. But we put so much emphasis on ourselves and what we want to do and blah, 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 that we ruin the educational field. So let's take ego out of education and let's start helping others, because it's going to help ourselves as well. All right. Now we're going to activate ourselves, Terminator style. You are already doing this part, okay? To continue and take permission and take, my mind just went blank, and take control of your own learning. You do not have to wait for someone to give you permission to grow. I'm going to say that again. You do not have to wait for someone to give you permission to grow. Just like those people on the escalator, they didn't have to wait to get off of the escalator. Just get up and walk. Get up and activate yourself and do something. Same thing with you and your growth. If you have always wanted to learn this certain skill in education, you know it's going to make you a better teacher. You know it's going to make you a better educator, but you're just waiting for someone to offer you that class. We're in 2021. We have gone through the pandemic. We know that we can go and find things that you want to do for yourself, right? Go find it. You don't have to get permission to grow. You don't have to get permission to learn. Go and do it. This is your call. I'm giving you permission. Go and do it. Okay. You all always wanted to learn how to fish because you did it. Go do it. You have permission. Go do it. Okay. Don't wait for people to control your growth. You control your own growth. Stop talking about it and do it. I know that you have someone in your life that you want to tell this to, and it may be yourself, right? But I know you have somebody in your life that they come up and they start talking about, and you're like, oh my gosh, can you please just go write the book? Right? Or, oh my God, can you please just go and start doing whatever you keep talking about every single time we meet? And you know what? You may be that person. You may want to tell that to yourself. So stop talking about all the stuff that you want to do and start taking action. But this is what we do for this step. This is what we do that's detrimental. We try to start too big. So we'll make our list, we'll do whatever we do to make ourselves comfortable to get started. But then we try to take over the entire world all at one time. You have to think big, but you have to start small. Okay, start small. Start with one thing that you can do. Even if you know your schedule, you know how busy you are, even if you can do that one thing this month, start with that one thing. One of the best things when I became a Google innovator and I got a mentor, and yay, Danielle. But one of the things she did was she put me on a schedule. And it wasn't like a schedule, but she put me on a schedule of growth. And it was something, I'm very type A. I'm very, by the book, and everything has a place and that kind of thing. But I never put myself on a growth schedule. I put myself on a schedule like this has to be done by this time, get it done, let's go. But not a schedule to help me and to help my company grow. And I was like, this is amazing, and it was per month, one thing that I wanted to learn and one thing that I can do to help my company grow, and then one thing I could do for my future. And they could be small things, but they just put me on a schedule that I could get started, because I already told you I have a problem with finishing, but it put me on a schedule that I could get started actually accomplishing stuff, and to stop talking about it and to start small and to start doing something. So I want to stop right here, and I want to look in the chat, and I want you to tell me, if you don't mind sharing, what is something that you can do? Just one thing. But what is something we've been sitting here and thinking, and we're not done just yet, but we've been sitting here and thinking, right? What are my mental maths? I'm not going to ask you to share that unless you want to, but I want you to start thinking of a goal. And I want you to put in the chat, what's that one step that you can take this month? This month. I know it's already the 11th or the 12th or the 10th, depending on where you are. But what's one thing that you're going to commit to stop talking about it and to activate yourself? One small thing. And I want you to type it. I want you to type it. If you don't want to share it with the world, write it down. Don't just have it in your mind. And I'm getting chills again. I want you to write it down. And I want you to commit to doing this one small thing to help you start to get off that mental mat. So I'm going to look in the chat and see some of the things that we have. Become a Wakelet ambassador. Woo, woo. I agree with that. Go ahead. I love it. I will rest. Man. Right? It's the little things. I'm just going to get more rest. I'm going to set up that alarm to tell me when it is time to stop working. It will be there tomorrow. I'm going to start resting. I love this. Thank you guys so much for putting this in the chat. Putting my back to school equity event together. Love it. So take one step towards that. What can you do? What's that one step you can do to start doing that? It may just be making the plan. It may just be writing down the mission. Let's see. Somebody's like, I want to be a Wakelet ambassador too. Exercise empathy with students. So what's one thing that you can do to start? I would say, if that's my end goal, maybe I really want to start learning my community a little bit better. Maybe I want to take a Saturday and go walk around some of the stores in my area, whether I live there or not, and just start looking at the community, start seeing what the needs of the community is. Because then I can start learning my students a little bit better so I can show that empathy, right? I'm just going to do about 2 more. I'm loving this. Let's see. I'm going to scroll up and get some other ones. I would like to start the book I've always wanted to write. Karen. Okay. So what's that one thing that you can do? Because that's, it's a big goal. So how do you start? Because that's where people get very, very bogged down. Like, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do it. I'm just going to keep talking about it because it makes me comfortable. So maybe it can be just simply writing down, what do you want the book to be by the end? Just a little blurb. Like, I want all of these different things in this book. Because that may change when you actually start writing the book, right? But at least it gives you somewhere to start. These are the things that I want in this book. And this is the one thing I'm about to focus on. It may just be an outline. It may just be the title of the first chapter. But this is where I'm going to actually start. So that way, when you get up and you wake up that next day, guess what? You have a goal. You have a plan. It's not just all over the place. You have that one small, simple step where you can start. Thank you so much for being honest with me in the chat. I want you to do, and this is my charge to you. I want you to do one thing per month that makes you truly happy. I'm not even saying per day. I'm not even saying per week. A lot of us have so much stressors on us that if we tried to do per day or per week, it would never happen. One thing per month that makes you truly happy. And not what, is okay to make you happy, but that makes you truly happy. If that is staying in bed for 2 extra hours, eating Cheetos, watching the Kardashians, go right ahead. Okay? I don't care if other people approve or not. One thing per month that makes you truly happy. So I want you to think about that. And I also want you to write that down. You don't have to share it in the chat if you don't want to. But I want you to write that down. What's going to be my one thing this month? Because we're almost halfway through the month. What's going to be my one thing this month that I'm going to do just for myself that makes me truly happy? What that does for yourself is it starts, first of all, showing you what makes you truly happy, right? You start really honing in on, you know what? I like doing this. And some people, and I am one of those people, I like to work. I honestly like to work. But I also know that I need to step away sometimes. So I also like to watch TV. I like to read books. I like to binge watch shows. There's 2 coming out today that I'm excited about. So I know that I also need that time away. So I make sure at least once a month to do something for myself, whether that be just taking a day and saying, hey, I just need this mental break day, or I just need a couple of hours to myself. But what is going to make you truly happy? I want you to do it at least once a month. Okay. So I tried so hard not to say this on the other slide when we talked about starting, right? Stop talking about it and being about it. But celebrate every small success. Every small success. I want you to dance around your house. I want you to give yourself a high five. I want you to pat yourself in the head and the back. Every small success is a success. Right? There's really no such thing as small successes. But if we don't finish the whole thing sometimes, we don't think we did a good job. So again, celebrate every small success. Celebrate every step you take. And guess what? Those of you who did what I said, you wrote down, whether in the chat or you wrote down, on your paper, or you typed it, or you created a Wakelet for it. That one thing that you wanted to do, that one thing that how you wanted to start, that is a success. Celebrate. You took a step. That is a success. So I want you to celebrate that. And I mean it. I want you to celebrate it like you just won an award. Celebrate it. And you're going to, that's you pumping yourself up. Okay, and if we can't pump ourselves up, who can pump us up? We have to be there for ourselves, to activate ourselves.
It's been said that the greatest disease affecting humanity is that feeling of I am not enough. The feeling of I am not enough can only exist by comparing yourself to another and living your life by expectations that aren't your own. Comparison is the thief of joy. If you want to use a great person to measure where you are in life and where you can be, sure, there's not a lot wrong with that. But don't be attached to the result. The only result you should be attached to is the result of you being better than you were yesterday, last week, last month, 1 year ago. Set your own goals based on what you want to achieve, not what the next door neighbor has, or the need to outdo a friend or a family member. Everyone is different and everyone can win. You will never win if you have your eyes on another person. You win your race by focusing on your own finish line. You win in life by being happy for others winning their race. And you giving your heart and soul to win your own race. It's you versus you. The battle is won or lost in your own mind. Comparing yourself to another is an insult to who you are. It's an insult to who you're going to be. You are better than that. You are unique, and that will always be your greatest power. That will always be what separates you from the rest. So be you. Focus on you. Focus on growing you, developing you, mastering your strengths, winning your own race. If others win their race, great. We are all here to win. And the moment you support others, support will come back to you. Don't go out to prove them wrong. Get out there and prove yourself right. It's been said.
I wish I could watch that video every morning. Like, I wish I would wake up and press play and just watch it before I start my day, because what it says is so true. And one of the biggest things I took away from that video is you versus you. You're the only one that you're competing against. Your goal is to be better than you were yesterday, and then the next day to be better than you are today. It is you versus you. One of the shows that I really, really love is Schitt's Creek. And I know some of you may love it too. And one of the things that a character in the show, Alexis, says to her brother is, not everyone is thinking about you the way that you're thinking about you. And it really, that phrase just stuck with me, because I get so down on myself. I get so caught up in other people's expectations of me. And, well, I'm doing this because they need me to do it and they want me to do it. And then I have to stop and think, not everybody's thinking about you the way that you're thinking about you. You're putting those pressures on yourself. Right? And I'm not saying that you don't have external pressures. I'm not saying that. But, one example, the pandemic hit and I had 300 and 400 emails, and I would respond to people and go, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I didn't, get to you sooner. And they're like, all right. I'm putting that, like, they don't expect that. I'm putting that pressure on myself. So it is you versus you. And I want you to start treating yourself better. And I want you to start realizing, what are your mental mats? Hopefully throughout this and throughout our conversation, you started seeing, oh my goodness, yeah, I do that. Why do I do that? Right? Because the first step of stopping this and breaking those barriers is you have to step off the mat. But if you don't even know you have a mat, if you don't even know what that mat is, you're never going to step off of it because you don't even see it. You think your feet are on the floor and they're not. So I want you to start doing some of these things that we talked about today so you can get yourself off of that mat. Once you step off of it and you step on solid ground, then you can start rolling up that mat, right? And you roll up that mat by being you, doing you, and activating you. And that is when you can pick up that mat and start walking towards your goals. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. My name is here on the screen. My website is here on the screen. My Twitter handle is here on the screen. I am on other social media is Educator Alexander, but on Twitter, I'm Educator Alex. And I'm going to stop here, see if we have any comments or any questions or anything like that that Wakelet wants to point out for me. And thank you so much for watching the chat, because I couldn't watch it, of course, the whole time, and wrap us up for this morning.
Wow, Desiree, thank you so much. I feel like everyone's super inspired. Everyone's going to have a very busy weekend, I think, of putting those plans into action, because everyone feels so motivated. We'll put some of these comments up now, Desiree, because you should see them coming through. Everyone is so inspired by everything you spoke about, and it's really resonated with them. So yeah, we'll go through some of these now. But yeah, as you can see with the comments, people are really revved up and pepped up to get going on a lot of the things that you've spoken about there. And Amanda says that you've made her day better, which is absolutely wonderful. One of the things I love that you said, especially, is about stop being so hard on yourself. I think we're all really good as a community at pepping each other up, at supporting each other, at sharing that love and giving each other a lot of support. But sometimes we really have to focus on turning that back on ourselves. We're our own sort of harshest critic sometimes.
Yes.
I know me, I can be the same. So it's, you know, really something that I think resonated with everyone when you said that, because sometimes you do just have to just be a lot more easy on yourself as well, because you're
like
awesome.
You're your friend. Act like you are your friend that you're trying to pump up.
Yeah, take that advice that you'd give to someone else, and that inspiration and all of those wonderful words that you share with others and support others with. Philip saying, yeah, I'm my own worst critic. I really need to hear what you said this morning. Amazing. There's so much love coming through. A lot of people are asking actually about that video that you shared. If you can, or you have the link to it at some point. I think a lot of people are saying, you know, that they want to play it a little bit like you did, but you know, playing it every morning video. When they want to. Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. I loved it, and so true.
Yeah, I have to go get the link, but I got it definitely from YouTube. I think the website is at the corner. fearlessmotivation.com is the website that it has on the corner throughout the video. fearlessmotivation.com. But I definitely did. I think it was from YouTube, but I'm sure if you go to that website, you should be able to find it. Yeah.
It's wonderful. I think everyone needs to, some days when you are waking up and having a bad day and you need that motivation, I think it's one to just put on and or rewatch this. I think it was Stormy who was saying they're just going to play your video again. Because like I said, everyone is feeling so motivated and inspired with what you were saying. And it's really lovely to hear, because like I said, I think we all need to hear it sometimes, and these are things that we're not going to tell ourselves all the time, and we need to start to.
Yes. How to create interest in present generation in schools. What is, I don't quite know what present generation.
Great interest in present generation in schools to be focused and well determined. So I think it's like creating interest in the generation that we have now in schools and getting them to be focused and determined. Like, any tips on that? Oh no, that's what they want to do.
And I said present instead of present. It's the same word, but
yeah,
I'm not going to be hard on myself for that.
No, not at all.
Man, there's no easy answer for that, because all of our students are not homogeneous. So you have to learn your students to learn what's going to motivate them, if that makes sense. So it's not easy to say, oh, well, just do this and it'll work for everybody, because it won't. So I would say definitely learn your students, learn what makes them tick, learn what will motivate them. Like, what do they actually care about? And then show them how to get that. Show them how what you're teaching them will help them achieve their own goals. Help them to see what are their goals. Now, of course, we're in education. Their goal is to graduate. Well, yeah, but what is their actual goal? What is their actual small time goal as well as big goal? So what do they actually want to accomplish by the end of this school year? How can what you're teaching them help them towards that goal? Giving them time to problem solve, giving them time to analyze what's happening in the world, in their world, what they see in their world, and giving them time to create solutions to that. I think that's the only way we truly motivate, especially a younger generation, is if we actually give them time to struggle, if we give them permission to fail, if we, and I know we hear all this stuff and it's like, blah, blah, but honestly, right? And then because we all have content to get through, we may have testing, we may have all this stuff, we still have to teach our curriculum. So we can do all of that while showing them, this is why I'm teaching you this. This is why this is valid, because this can bring you to that solution. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think, like you said there, and earlier in your presentation, when you were talking about sort of finding that passion, I love what you said with, if you won $1 million today, what would you still do? And right. I think that's a perfect question to ask yourself, to find that passion. If there isn't, that money motivation or any other motivation that way, what would you still do just because you love it? Right. And I think finding that even in, a student, no matter how big or small the passion is something that would really, you can feed from and sort of work from there as well. But I think that's really important for ourselves as well, which is lovely. Just see if there's any more questions at all. Don't think there's any more questions, but it was absolutely fantastic, Desiree. But anything you want to leave us with?
Just enjoy the last day of
I know.
Amazing event. Hopefully you are motivated to get what you need to get out, out of it. And just don't get in your own way. So you can do what you actually want to do, what you really want to do. Just don't get in your own way.
I love that. Thank you so much, Desiree. It's been absolutely wonderful, and I really appreciate you joining us today. So thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Thank you. It was fun. And thank everybody for spending time with me.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
What an amazing session. I can see all of your wonderful comments coming through. And I think a lot of that was a lot of what we needed to hear as well. So really hope you enjoyed that. We've still got some great sessions coming up throughout Wakelet Community Week. So a few more. I know it's the last day. I'm getting a little bit sad, but still got some great sessions coming up. So please check those out. And of course, we'll share I've seen a few asking about certificates. You will get a certificate for this session, so we'll share that out in the comments now. So if you can complete that, we'll send you out your certificate of attendance along with your stamp. But for now, thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget to share your favorite moments from the week, from this session. Share what you've learned as well, and hashtag Wakelet Community Week to be in with a chance of winning some prizes. But for now, I'll see you very soon, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.